I've seen some slimy interviews in my day, but this is in contention for the worst ever. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about the ridiculous interview between George Stephanopoulos, Bill Clinton's former right-hand man during his White House days, now ABC stooge, and U.S. House Republican Nancy Mace from South Carolina. Now, as I said, this interview was really crazy, and it centers around E. Jean Carroll and the lawsuit from her team against Trump that he lost, and he's currently appealing. Now, before we get into it, I just want to say one thing. You have actual victims of crime out there, and it's really bad when you have those who may not be victims or those who aren't victims and use what someone has gone through against them, trying to shame them, trying to make them feel less than. It's really, really, really gross, and that is exactly what George Stephanopoulos did here. Now, before we get to the actual interview, let's just recap to understand where we are and get full context. Now, I'm talking about E. Jean Carroll. She said in 1996, Donald Trump assaulted her in a high-end department store's dressing room. Now, understand this. E. Jean Carroll is 80 years old. I think Trump is 77 or 78 years old. In 1996, they would have been both in their 50s, although she is older than he is. So her story is, at 55 and 53 respectively, there was an encounter between the two of them in a dressing room in which Trump took advantage of her. Now, there was an original lawsuit that Trump lost and was ordered to pay $5 million for sexual assault and defamation. Now, just because he was found liable in the sexual assault case does not mean that he was found guilty of sexual assault. That's two different things. If you're found guilty of sexual assault, you're going to the penitentiary, making big rocks to little rocks. There has been no criminal conviction of Trump at all in any of the recent court action. We're talking about Fulton County, Georgia, New York City, Letitia James, and E. Jean Carroll. There's been no criminal action, only civil. Now, the penalty rose to 83, 88, whatever, above 80 million because they said Trump went on social media and continued to defame her. Now they're talking about it could be a third lawsuit. It's all money, 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 money. There is no actual criminal penalty here. That's what's going on. Now, of course, when you go to mainstream media, they're going to say, oh, Trump was found liable for that. And in the eyes and the ears of normies, they're going to think that he actually did it. So when you're talking to people on the street, they're going to say, oh, well, Trump, he assaulted somebody. Did he? Did he get found guilty of assault? I don't think so. Being found liable, again, is not the same thing as being found guilty in a criminal way, because if he was found guilty, he'd be in prison, and he's not going to go to prison for a civil suit. Now, before I go any further, let's get into the actual clip. If you want to see the clip in full without my commentary, link as always will be in the description. If you're on IG, visit the link in the bio, go to the corresponding article on the website. But without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
Yes, this morning. And you've endorsed Donald Trump for president. Judges and two separate juries have found him liable for rape and for defaming the victim of that rape. How do you square your endorsement of Donald Trump with the testimony we just saw?
So, of course, Nancy Mace has been assaulted before when she was 16 years old. And he's trying to say, well, look, he got found liable for sexual assault and you endorsed him. So basically, how do you feel as a victim to endorse a guy that did the same thing to someone else that was done to you? That is his question, and it's really gross to ask the question. Let's keep on going.
Well, I will tell you, I was raped at the age of 16. And any rape victim will tell you, I've lived for 30 years with an incredible amount of shame over being raped. I didn't come forward because of that judgment and shame that I felt. And it's a shame that you will never feel, George. And I'm not going to sit here on your show and be asked a question meant to shame me about another potential rape victim. I'm not gonna do that.
It's actually not about shaming you. It's a question about Donald Trump.
No, you are shaming me.
You've endorsed Donald Trump for president.
Right.
Donald Trump has been found liable for rape by a jury. Donald Trump has been found liable for defaming the victim of that rape by a jury.
This is really gross. Really, really gross. What does being found liable of a thing. Because the jury can just say, oh, okay, well, let's make him pay some money. That does not mean he did it. If you want to say that I did something, you find me guilty and present evidence. Okay, is there a kit done? Did anybody see me? Is there DNA? You can't just say something like that and have that be the narrative with no evidence, no conviction. This is really crazy. But, you know, mainstream media, they always do this, which is why, again, I'll say it time and time again. This is exactly why I hate the media. I really do. And look at the lower third. At least 18 women have accused Trump of sexual misconduct. What does an accusation got to do with anything? Anyone can accuse anybody of anything. That doesn't mean they did it.
It's been affirmed by a judge.
It was not a criminal court case, number one. Number two.
It's not a criminal court case. Thank you, Nancy Mace.
Two, I live with shame. And you're asking me a question about my political choices, trying to shame me as a rape victim, and I find it disgusting. And quite frankly, E. Jean Carroll's comments when she did get the judgment, joking about what she was going to buy, it makes it harder for women to come forward when they make a mockery out of rape.
Now let's pause right here. I'm going to come right back to what she's saying, but let's go to what E. Jean Carroll said. This video was uploaded January 30th, 2024. So pretty recent. This is on MS-13 DNC. That is E. Jean Carroll right there in the center, flanked by two lawyers, not one, but two lawyers. Check it out.
You've talked about using some of Trump's money that you're about to get to help shore up women's rights. Do you know what that might be, what that might look like?
Yes, Rachel. Yes.
Tell me.
I had such great ideas for all the good I'm going to do with this money. First thing, Rachel, you and I are going to go shopping.
We're going to go shopping. The lawyers are laughing. Rachel's laughing. Everybody's laughing. Now, last I checked, sexual assault wasn't a laughing matter. So I don't understand what's going on here. I don't really get it. Maybe you guys can let me know. I'd love to hear your point of view in the comments below. Let's keep on going.
We're going to get completely new wardrobes, new shoes, motorcycle for Crowley, new fishing rod for Robbie. Rachel, what do you want? Penthouse? It's yours,
Nothing.
Rachel. Penthouse and France? You want France? You want to go fishing in France? No? Oh, all right, okay.
That's a joke.
Okay, Lori got to come in. That's a joke. Hey, by the way, it's a joke. It's a joke. It's a joke. Don't use it against us in the court. Okay. See what I'm talking about? See what I'm talking about? Now let's go back. Now that's right out of their mouth. I didn't make that up. That's not AI. That's straight from MS-13 DNC. Rachel Maddow, E. Jean Carroll, and the lawyers right there saying that, and they're all laughing. Is it funny? I don't think so. I think if you're an actual victim of sexual assault, I don't think that you find time to laugh at it. Well, let's keep on going.
When they joke about it,
Doesn't it make it
it's not
harder for
okay.
women to come forward when they?
It makes it harder when other women joke about it, and she's joked about it. I find it offensive, and I also find it offensive that you're trying to shame me with this question.
I'm not trying to shame you
are.
at all. In fact,
I have dealt with this.
He is trying to shame her. Exactly what's happening. Well, you were a victim of sexual assault at 16 years old. So why are you supporting this man who was found liable? See what I'm saying? That it's shaming. And again, we're not talking about a criminal conviction. That's much different. It's a higher level. You gotta go through a lot more to find somebody actually guilty of a crime than you do to find someone liable or to settle or whatever the case may be.
For 30 years. You know how hard it was to tell my story 5 years ago when they were doing a fetal heartbeat bill and there were no exceptions for rape, incest, or rape or incest in there? I had to tell my story because no other woman was coming forward. No rape victims were represented. And you're trying to shame me this morning.
I'm just asking.
And I find it offensive, and this is why women won't come forward.
Women won't come forward because they're defamed by those who perpetrate rape. Donald Trump
They are judged and they're shamed, and you're trying to shame me this morning. I think it's disgusting.
I'm not shaming you at all.
I told my story. It took me 25 years to tell my story. I was judged for it. I still get judged for it today.
I'm asking you a very simple question.
So that's the video right there. George Stephanopoulos just trying to say, well, look, because you were a victim, why are you supporting a person who victimized others with no criminal evidence to say that he actually did it? It's just, I mean, and really we all know kind of what it is. You know, all of this court action that's happening, I'm not necessarily saying the E. Jean Carroll thing, because somebody might try to get me on that. But all this court action, maybe including that, maybe not including that, it's just a way to try and get money, to try and get in the way, to just be vindictive against Trump. because people don't like him a lot of times in the jury, and also because they don't want him to run in 2024. It's just as simple as that. And what Stephanopoulos did is another way to poison the minds of the American people to make them think a thing that's not even true. But as I close, I want to say this. Shout out to Nancy Mace for being brave enough to tell her story about actually being assaulted at age 16 and not allowing this guy to try and shame her on television, talking about Trump and civil cases and money being paid out. Shout out to her for being strong in the face of this individual right here, who is probably one of the most despicable human beings on planet Earth. And I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What's your take on this interview between Stephanopoulos and Nancy Mace? Think she get a good job, bad job? How about him? The audacity. Or do you think that his question was appropriate? It was valid. Hey, why not ask this question? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. This was a really crazy interview. Again, in contention for one of the worst that I've seen, if not like ever in a long time. I've seen some really dumpster fire style interviews. I've seen some really offensive questions. I've heard some really just poor things being asked to people in interviews. But this it's got to be one of the worst. It really does. You know, taking advantage, trying to use someone's actual victim status against them is crazy. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.